Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the First Parish in Framingham. We are a welcoming congregation, which means whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. We welcome you here in the meeting house, on YouTube, on Zoom, or whenever and however you may be watching this service in the future. My name is Kevin Stern. I use they, them pronouns. I am a co-chair on the Board of Assessors, and I am your worship associate this morning. Please be sure to read the announcements in your order of service. There are many activities happening after worship. Immediately following the service, you are welcome to join us for a coffee hour across the courtyard in Scott Hall. Please take a moment to turn your devices to worship mode. While beeps and buzzes can be distracting, we welcome your human noises, especially the sound of your singing and laughter, so please join in. Since 1701, people have gathered as this community to rest or recharge, to be challenged or affirmed. Those people are like you. You belong here, maybe just for the next hour, but we hope for longer. I now invite you to take a comfortable breath in and out. Continue to take a few more breaths and release whatever you need to in order to be more present to yourself, to one another, and the sacred in this time and place. To symbolize the light of reason, the warmth of community, and the flame of hope, it is our tradition to begin our worship by kindling our chalice. Katie Silvani Gelfand shares this. We light our chalice as a symbol of gratitude as we celebrate the abundance of our lives together. In this sanctuary, we harvest bushels of strength for one another and offer our crop with the hands of compassion and generosity. In the authentic and gentle manner of our connections, we cultivate a simple sweetness to brighten our spirits. May we be grateful for the ways we nourish and uplift each other, for it is the sharing of this hallowed time together that sustains us.
It is a tradition in our community that after the death of a member of one who was a part of our community, we light a candle in their memory. Rich Lawton, who had been a member of our congregation for almost exactly 20 years, died on February 28th. At this time, no services are planned for Rich in accordance with his wishes. May we pause for a moment of silence in his memory. May his wife, Carol, know the love and support of her First Parish community. Let us remember Rich's beautiful tenor voice. May his memory be a blessing to us all. I invite you now to rise in body or spirit. Both work just fine to sing our opening hymn. It's number 121, We'll Build a Land.
Will
Please remain standing as we sing and say our affirmations.
Doctrine of this church, the quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve all life with compassion, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. This is our great covenant, one with another and with our God. You may be seated. Hello. My name is Terry Dixon, the ministerial intern both here at First Parish in Framingham and also at UU Wellesley Hills. And I use he, him pronouns. This is the time in our service when we share things that weigh deepest on our hearts, our milestones, and our happy and sad occasions. We share them because joy shared is joy expanded, and sorrow shared can feel as though someone is helping us carry our burdens. You can submit your joys and sorrows either online or by writing them in this book that is typically kept at the rear of the sanctuary here. And between our sharings, we will intersperse the song, There is a Love. We do this because we want to have those joys and sorrows held closer to our hearts through song, but also so that you may have a song on your heart as you live through your own joys and sorrows. So I will begin with the sorrows of our gathered community. Ellen Cormier asks us to light a candle and wishes for Carol Lawton that as she enters this most difficult time of sorrow for the loss of Rich, that she knows that she is cocooned with love from all her friends. Carol says it does help. And Diane Engel also has a sorrow that Larry Decker is in the Metro West Medical Center for a few days more, but he looks forward to hearing from his friends. So for Larry and Diane. And Jim Hansen is thinking this day of his nephew Alex's young wife, Amy, who is in hospice following a long 2-year struggle with cancer. They were married just last summer, and Jim says, we will lose her too soon. And Kathy LaChapelle is remembering her uncle, Paul Tremblay, who passed away last weekend. She says she will always remember his ebullient laugh and his love of mischief. And Dave says, just simply, what is happening to our country? So, let us now join in singing. There is a joy holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love And now the joys of our community. Jane Lateny Clark has a joy that Ed is home from the hospital after having a bout with congestive heart failure. They had to call 911, and that was very scary, but he's home. And Marianne Orlando has a joy that it's a delight to sing in the choir, but especially now because Marianne says she can sing alto instead of tenor. As Marianne puts it, when they go low, I go high. So on that, let us sing again. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding us. We rest in this love. And let us light another candle for all the joys and sorrows that are perhaps too great or too personal to share, but which we hold in our hearts. And Kevin, if we could just light one more candle for all those people who do not have a community like this in which to share their joys and sorrows. So I invite you now into a time of contemplation, prayer, or meditation. Please settle into your seats with your feet firmly on the floor and feel yourself supported. Take a deep breath. And perhaps another. I invite you to sit upright with your back firm but not rigid and your heart space open. And allow yourself to sink down into your body as you center yourself in quiet reflection. We call upon the great mystery, which goes by many names and yet transcends all names. May we sense that spirit of life and love, that essence of the holy within and among all of us. And may that sacredness enable each of us to love and be loved just as we are in our essential humanity. So we may live into ever greater and closer connection, ever deeper communion, and ever sweeter harmony with one another and all beings. We give thanks for this community and for all the joys and blessings in our lives, and all those beings and things that give our lives purpose and meaning. We are deeply grateful for the love, compassion, and kindnesses, large and small, that we receive on a daily basis. May we never fail to see those things as blessings or take them for granted. But we also lift up those difficulties, sadnesses, and heavy feelings, the struggles, griefs, and worries that weigh on people's hearts and minds. For if any one of us suffers, we all suffer, and that suffering cries out for compassion. May all who suffer find support and solace And by sharing our troubles in loving community, may those troubles be lessened through togetherness. May all afflicted by disease, illness, whether physical or mental, or by addiction, be comforted and find relief. May all who are experiencing grief or loss feel nurtured and consoled. And we also lift up in our hearts all those people who suffer or are endangered because of war or the threat of war. We remember the people of Gaza, who today are observing Ramadan amidst rubble and ruin. We also bring to mind the people of Ukraine, who have bravely faced and bravely continue to resist a brutal invasion. May they all know peace, but may it be a real, just, and lasting peace. Let us also find ways to support all those people in this country who, rather than encouraged to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion, are increasingly being marginalized and terrorized because of policies of hate, cruelty, and spite. As a country and as individuals, may we continually seek to widen circles and expand hearts until everyone is welcomed and affirmed in beloved community. But in holding others to account, let us also recognize that on occasion, each and every one of us falls short of being the truly loving and compassionate people we want to be. So let us acknowledge our individual and collective mistakes, forgive others for their failings as we hope to be forgiven for ours, do whatever we can to make amends, and continually recommit ourselves to try harder and do better. And now, I invite you into a further minute of silence for your own personal reflections, prayers, or just to rest. Please breathe into this space of holiness, this time of peace. For once in your busy lives, there's nothing else you need to do. This is a time simply to be and be held. So let's enjoy this moment of tranquility. May we hold ourselves and each other lightly and lovingly in this sacred moment and in the next. And may all which is holy hold our prayers and contemplations with tenderness and and compassion, and help us live better with love, respect, and justice for all. Amen, and blessed be.
Today marks the beginning of our annual Canvas Drive. This is a time where we consider our financial support of First Parish. There are many ways to contribute to First Parish, but the church cannot survive without funding, and the majority of our income is from direct giving. I want to reflect on what First Parish means to me by talking about my personal religious history. So, growing up, I didn't have a faith community. My mom was raised Catholic, my dad Jewish, so we said grace before dinner. That was about it. I attended various religious services over the years, but nothing stuck. In high school, I went to a UU camp, Unirondack, for several summers, and I was struck by how accepting and socially conscious it was. My friends and I discussed our queer experiences every day after dinner as an officially sanctioned activity. It was kind of like the Gay-Straight Alliance at school, but if the school were overwhelmingly run by queer administrators and staff. Later in high school, I took a sharp turn and joined the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, also known as LDS or the Mormon Church. They had very different beliefs and values than the UU Church, and I felt a lot of shame in hiding my queer identities and failing to uphold various restrictions in order to fit in and be allowed to participate in religious rites. On the first Sunday of every month, instead of a sermon, members would go to the front of the chapel to share their testimonies. We'd typically talk about how we had been moved by the Holy Ghost and our connection to Heavenly Father. When people here talk about why they are UU, they talk about how important it is to have a community where they and their families are unconditionally loved and accepted. Quite different. I left that church my sophomore year of college because I didn't like feeling guilty and hiding who I was. I promised myself that when I finished college, I'd find the local UU church of wherever I moved and check it out. I moved to Framingham in June of 2022, went to the first regular service here in September. After the service, I went across the courtyard to Scott Hall for coffee hour and immediately found someone I knew. My college choir has a very strong alumni presence, so I'd actually sung with Matt Crawford several times before we ran into each other here. He introduced me to Dean, and I got involved in the singing and bell choirs, which provided me the musical outlet I'd been missing since graduating. Also, as a part of First Parish, I've gotten to be an usher, a worship associate, serve on the Board of Assessors. I've gotten to meet so many people and share so many wonderful stories. Every Sunday, I come to church, and every Sunday, I am affirmed that I belong here. This is not a church of shame or guilt or personal failure. This is a church of love. First Parish has given me so much, and that is why I give back. The choir would like to dedicate this morning's offering to Rich Lawton.
Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. No one stands alone, we'll stand side by side. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. Draw
This morning's reading is Safety Net by Rosemary Watola Trommer. This morning I woke, thinking of all the people I love and all the people they love, and how big the net of lovers. It felt so clear, all those invisible ties, interwoven like silken thread, strong enough to make a mesh that for thousands of years has been woven and rewoven to catch us all. Sometimes we go on as if we forget about it, believing only in the fall, but the net is just as real. Every day, with every small kindness, with every generous act, we strengthen it. Notice, even now, how as the whole world seems to be falling, it is there for us as we walk the day's tightrope, how every tie matters. Please remain seated as we sing hymn 123, Spirit of Life.
Who is in your net of lovers? How big is it? How wide is the web? Let's take a moment to count. Maybe there is the person sitting next to you, who you might be related to. Or maybe the person you sit next to because you want to talk to them after the music ends. There's the person who is sitting a few rows ahead of you, who once proofread a resume when you were job searching. There's the person behind you who watched your cat while you had surgery. And 4 or 5 people spread out over the sanctuary who made soup for you. There's another 4 or 5 people that you sit with who you talk about spiritual matters with. There are some 15 or so people who wrote you a sympathy card when your parent died. There's the musicians whose skill makes you smile. They're part of the net. A pastor who visited you in the hospital. A preacher who shares an inspiring word. There's possibly the newcomer whose questions you answered. And there's the longer-term member who answered your same questions about your faith and our faith. Maybe there's the team that you organized a fundraiser or several with. In all likelihood, there's a bunch of kids that you'll buy baked goods from. Today, even. And you remember them when they were little. There's a few kids that you taught. There's the people that helped you as you adopted a child into your life. There's the person who listened to you, actually several people, as your body changed, or as you took care of aging parents. Someone helped you pack. Someone listened to you as you struggled with a relationship quandary. Likely there's someone who saw you after church and said, "We should get coffee sometime," and then followed up on that. There's a group of guys who bought you your first suit. Chances are good there are also departed friends who loved you, who supported you, who wrote you, who counseled you. You still remember the pew that they sat in, or the sound of their singing voice. There's a group of people that you went to a protest with, or went to Pride with. There are the people that keep this building strong. And there's the people who benefit from your donations unseen, the children who wake up on Christmas with gifts under their tree. And that's all the stuff that happened in the past. And that's just who impacted you. Who did you impact? Who is yet to come through those doors? What is yet to impact your life? The poet asks, how big the net of lovers? The stories that I have heard over my years here are too many to count, too moving and personal to share. I have heard of the vital ways that we as our First Parish support one another, whether it's through the things that I call the greeting card rites of passage, birth, death, marriage, retirement, or the more tender rites of passage, recovery from surgery, cancer, loneliness, job loss, underemployment, overemployment, gender transition, divorce, the aging process, care, giving of loved ones, empty nesting, and moving. I know the breathtaking ways that you support one another. This is a terrible time to go at it alone. As I say these words, I can see your faces in my study or in a hospital room or in your homes. I hear of the ways that you reach out tenderly to support one another. It is astounding. It all brings a tear to my eye. It is so easy to get cynical these days, but you give me hope. I see our gifts to the church as a tangible way that we connect to the web of history of our congregation. It could take some work, but we could likely trace ourselves today all the way back 324 years. When we are untethered, which I feel like a lot these days, it is important to remember this web. As I think about our net, our web of lovers, I see our reciprocity and our generosity shine through. We participate in something far greater than we could ever imagine, which I call the gift economy. Now, the gift economy, it does not pay the rent on the copier, doesn't buy paper, doesn't pay the salaries of our staff or the coffee that you will soon drink, but I think it pays for something greater. Robin Wall Kimmerer, in her book, The Serviceberry, remarks, gratitude and reciprocity are the currency of our gift economy, and they have a remarkable property of multiplying with every exchange, their energy concentrating as they pass from hand to hand, a truly renewable resource. I think that's what we are like here at First Parish. There are some other organizations that might do what we do better or differently. They might be more polished, but there is something beautiful about us. Again, Kimmerer shares this. A woolly hat that you purchase at the store will keep you warm, regardless of its origin. But if it was hand knit by your favorite auntie, then you are in relationship to that thing in a very different way. You are responsible for it, and your gratitude has a motive force in the world. We are that hand-knit hat. It means more that your soup was made by hand. Now, faith communities such as ours are unique in the world of nonprofits. There is no distinction between member and client, donor, board member, or leader. We are all in this together. When you support First Parish, you support everyone here and everyone in our parish who is not here. Your support provides for the pastoral care you receive in challenging times and the care of the person sitting next to you. Your support ensures excellent worship experiences with beautiful music for both you and the person sitting next to you on the other side of the meeting house sanctuary. Your support means memorial services, weddings, and child dedications are all free for members of our congregation. It means that you support the children and the youth in this community in their religious exploration. For the truth is, a congregation is never a single entity. The truth is, there is no single thing called the congregation. It is made up of individuals. You make up the congregation of First Parish. And I want to remind us about another very 2025 way of being and how it applies to us. We are an independent institution. As a nonprofit, we depend entirely on your generosity, the members of this church, in addition to local groups that rent space from us. Most other nonprofits that I know right now are wrestling with how a hostile government is revoking grants in reaction to certain inclusive policies and practices. I believe that we are insulated from that. We do not receive federal grant money. We are independent. And in this day and age, it gives us a certain beautiful freedom. There is no restriction as to how we practice our faith. No restrictions on the programs that we hold. Our independent nature will be vitally important, I believe, in the days to come. Who knows what part of the safety net we will patch in our country or in our city? It seems vitally important to me to continue offering comprehensive sexuality education programs for our children as one example. I know that there are ways that we will be called in the future, ways that will save one life or many lives. There are many ways that we already do save lives. We will need to train ourselves up on how to continue to strengthen our community and how to side with love. A colleague of a colleague once said, "You will never soar to your noblest aspirations in a real-life scenario. You will always fall to your lowest level of training. So let's train up. We have work to do." And we are also called to innovate and to try some new things. I believe that our congregations should be laboratories for the Spirit, where we try a new thing or two. We're grateful for your support in our experiments as well. Now, next week, as you're eating baked potatoes after the service, we'll go more in depth about the numbers behind why we are asking what we are asking for. But I want to talk about how I consider giving. I continue to support financially my home congregation for many of the reasons that I listed. Lizzie and I also support this First Parish in Framingham as well. Together, our pledges are slightly above the average amount of pledging, which for last year was $1,876. Each of these organizations matters to me deeply. This year, when we did all the math, it ended up that every pledge this year, the average pledge, needs to be $1,938. Lizzie and I will continue to be slightly above average this year. This means we are asking for a 4% increase. I don't know what that looks like for you. If you can increase by this amount, we are grateful for your generosity. If you cannot and will donate at the same amount, we are grateful for your generosity. If you need to reduce your pledge, we are also grateful for your generosity. If you can increase your pledge by more, we are grateful for your generosity. And if this is the time that you say, yes, I will support First Parish financially, we are so grateful for your generosity. What will all of this sustain? It will sustain the current level of programming that we have here at First Parish. We also need to add money in our budget to support major maintenance. This house is beautiful. It is 99 years old. It needs our support. We will continue as well to aspire to fairly compensate all of our staff. Again, you didn't need to take notes on any of this. Come back next week after our service for more details. Friends, these are uncertain times. Shock, right? I do not need to tell you of this fact. You can feel it in your bones. And our congregation has lasted through uncertain times before. We saw the birth of a new nation, the birth of a new faith tradition, actually 3 of them. We saw the merger both nationally and locally of the Unitarian Church and the Universalist Church. We saw the 7 years in between the destruction of the 4th meeting house and the construction of our 5th meeting house. The people of this congregation have witnessed every war fought by the United States for independence, a civil war, and all of the world wars and other wars abroad. It saw the ratification of our Constitution and every amendment, the settlement and incorporation of the town of Framingham, the disestablishment of the state church. It saw businesses come and go. It saw the incorporation of the city of Framingham. It's seen 25 odd ministers. Who knows how many parishioners? It has seen the Great Depression and the Great Recession, the influenza epidemic, the AIDS epidemic, and the COVID pandemic, the end of slavery, women getting the right to vote, gay marriage legalized. It has seen transitions and budget crises and every presidential election in our nation's history. My friends gathered here, it seems to me that what is clear is not that we have always been stable and static, but that we have always adapted. This is our legacy. Are you ready? You are already a part of it. We will work to build this land and fan the fire of commitment and strengthen our community. The poet writes, "Notice, even how as the whole world seems to be falling apart, the net is there for us as we walk the day's tightrope. Notice how every tie matters." May it be so, and amen. Let us rise. In body or spirit, both work just as well, to sing hymn 1028, Fire of Commitment.
Into faith set free from fear, when the fire
And so as we leave this friendly place, let us take the light of love out into the world and use it to brighten our pathways. And when we need to rest or recharge, be challenged or affirmed, may that light guide us safely back. May we hold the light always, and the light hold us always. Amen, and go in peace.